You didn't make the Makaveli album because you was in jail?
Yeah, man, I was in there about 2 or 3 months. And I remember it was crazy because, we was talking about the Mexicans. And the day I got out, I was in the holding tank, where you just about to get out. Shit. And it was like maybe 4 or 5 Mexicans up in there with me, and it was just me by myself and shit. They was looking at me and shit, and I'm looking at them, and they looking at me. We looking at each other, and we looking like, yeah, nigga, what's happening? What's happening? Upset? What y'all want to do? What's up? I don't give a fuck. They got 5 out of 5 of y'all motherfuckers, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. I'm just standing there and shit. And then, one of the Mexican dudes walk up, and he like, where you from, Holmes? And in the Bay, the Mexicans in the Bay don't talk like that. They talk like, yeah, man, what's poppin', pimpin'? Where you from, Playboy? You know what I'm saying? So, he came, he like, where you from, Holmes? I said, I'm from the Bay. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the Bay, nigga. I was like, where you from? He was like, I'm from LA, Holmes. I said, oh, okay. I said, that's what's up. I said, I'm from the Bay, man. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, what's your name? Where you from in the Bay? I said, I'm from Oakland. I said, you know what Hayward is? I said, I'm Spice One, my nigga. And he's like, and then he looked back and shit.
It was a different story after that.
And he said, you're not no fucking Spice One, Holmes. And then he looked over at his homies and said, hey, he says he's fucking Spice One, Holmes. Right? And I'm still sitting there looking at him and shit. And then the other dude walk over and he walked over and he looked down. And then he looked up at me. He said, that is Spice One, Holmes. And then, we all started laughing and shit after he said that. And then he said, if you weren't Spice One, Holmes, we were gonna jump you, Holmes. And I was gonna whoop your ass up in this motherfucker, So we started joking around. So, man, it's always love when it come to black and brown pride. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was some cool shit, and but then I told him, I said, if anybody do come up in here and they acting like it's me and y'all know it ain't me, whoop they motherfucking ass.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Don't let no imposters come in here telling you they me and shit.
Well, what's crazy is I think the only feature on that album, rapper, maybe just period, but I know rapper-wise was Badass from Long Beach.
Yeah.
So you would have, had you been out, you would have been the second only feature on that Makaveli album.
Yeah, because like I say, when I got out, it was like maybe 2 days after I got out, and I was at the Mondrian Hotel on Sunset. It was called the Mondrian back then. I don't know if it's called something else now, but the House of Blues was next to it, and it was it's cracking. Pat called me and said he downstairs. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? So he come up there, and he was like, nigga, I got this dope ass. But the first thing he said when he see me, he's like, man, what the fuck how long was you up in there? Where the fuck was you at? What was you doing and shit? He said, I did 2 albums already and shit. I did 2 fucking albums.
Like
you missed all of them. You missed both of them and shit. I was like, damn, I know I did. I know I missed the motherfuckers and shit. But, when we started riding out and shit, but it was after he got shot. And he had healed up and he had just did the Hit 'Em Up song and shit, and all of this shit was done. So he was showing me all of the new songs, before they came out on the Makaveli album that he had finished mix and mastered and all of that shit. And so we ride, and he was like, man, I wanted you on this song, I want you to get on this one and that one, just telling me songs. And I looked at him and he took his bandana off, and I seen a dent in his head, and I seen a bullet shot in his shoulder, and I automatically got mad as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, hold the fuck on, like I'm in jail and shit, and you went to go do a verse with them niggas, and you came back like that. So we had a long conversation about that shit. You know what I'm saying? But
you guys were gonna do the One Nation project, wasn't that big talks too? Yeah. Of having a bunch of rappers.
We had a whole plan. We had a whole
on the
plan,
collaboration project.
We had a whole game plan. One Nation shit. He's finna turn up.
Going back and looking at Tupac's catalog now, what song would you be like, Damn, man, Spice One should be on that one because you got songs together.
Oh, a lot of
But
them.
what songs would you be like? I wanted to be on that one right there.
Picture Me Rolling,
Okay,
definitely.
yeah.
Picture Me Rolling and uh 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 um the life we live as the everybody fucking with us, so can't you see how to be a man? Riding with my guns. That I can see myself on
Okay.
that one, and the motherfucking um something forgot the name. It's like an outlaw song,
Okay.
but some of the songs I see myself on them. Like I think it was like the Outlaw album when he was sitting in the car with the Outlaws and shit on that album. I see myself on a lot of them songs because I was there.
So I mean,
I don't know. I was listening to the songs when they finished them and stuff when I got there. You know what I'm saying? Because if you listen to the Outlaw album, you can hear him saying Spice One up in there, and I was in there and shit.
24/7, 12 months a year, 365.